I just had the worst first date of my life. I figure I'm just gonna tell you what happened and then we're gonna try and work our way back from there. My date invited myself along with 2 other women so that he could speed up the process of finding his perfect 3-way. I met this guy on a dating app and I feel like by all reasonable measures, he was pretty much just your average guy. Literally nothing in his profile could have prepared me for what was to come. We agreed to meet at this Italian restaurant that's about 15 minutes away from my house. So I show up in my Uber and I'm probably like 10 minutes early because I just usually show up early to things. I don't know. When I get there, he's standing outside the restaurant and I recognize him from his profile. So at least he's not a catfish. You know, we say hi to each other and then he's just like, okay, let's go inside and grab our table. He made a reservation, so the table was ready right when we got there. So at least that was nice. They bring us to our table and they seat us at this 4-top, which honestly isn't that weird if you think about it. We're really only sitting there for like maybe 2 minutes before this girl walks up, who I think at the time is just a waitress. But no, and you already know what's coming. She kind of just looks at me funny and then introduces herself just casually and I'm like, oh hi, like I'm Megan. And as she's sitting down, the next girl.
Thank you guys so much for clicking on today's video. I hope you enjoy all these stories and experience of these girls with their date from L. And there's also a guy there as well. So leave comments, let me know if you guys ever had any bad date from L or anything like that. Hope you enjoy the video. Thank you so much for clicking on today's video and don't forget to subscribe.
I went on a date with an Indian man and it was the worst experience of my life. You won't believe who he invited on our date. So this happened while I was living and dating in New York City. Matched with this cute Indian guy on Tinder, very smart, successful, and on a few dates. And in the beginning, he was very upfront and straightforward with me. And he told me that he was best friends with one of his exes. He told me that his family was friends with her family and that at one point they tried to set up an arranged marriage with them, but there was just no chemistry or attraction. Usually I'm the jealous type, but I decided to let this go because he was really, really nice. So cut to a couple weeks later, he invites me to go and meet his friends for the first time, which I thought was like a really huge step for us. We were all going to go do karaoke in K-Town. So he reserved a room, I get there, I meet his friends. They all seem very, very nice. And as the evening progresses, something really weird is happening. Notice that one girl in the group is drinking a lot. And as she continues to do so, she's getting more and more emotional. And at one point she starts crying and she storms out of the karaoke room. The guy I'm dating looks at me and says that he needs to go and check on her, so he leaves too. Half an hour goes by and I'm like, okay, this is a little bit weird. They haven't come back yet. So I leave the karaoke room, I head down the hallway and I see that there is an empty karaoke room where both of them are sitting. And she is bawling her eyes out and he has his arm around her and he's consoling her. I pop my head in and I'm like, hey guys, what's up? What's going on? Did anyone pass away? He like shoos me away and says, everything's fine. Like she's just had a really rough day. I'm trying to help her. So I then leave. And after waiting like another half hour, 45 minutes, I'm like, I'm done with this. So I take my things and I go. I send him a text message saying that that was extremely rude. And then he has the audacity to text me back and tell me that is actually his ex-girlfriend. She was just really upset and caught off guard because she wasn't expecting to meet me that night. So then he tells me he wants to make it up to me by taking me out for dinner, to which I'm like, no thank you, sir. He never went on to speak or hang out again, but I do still follow him on social media. Don't know what his relationship status is, but I do see his ex-girlfriend in a lot of his photos. That experience left such a bad taste in my mouth that I actually stayed away from dating Indian men after that. Let me know what you guys think. Like, is this normal? Did I overreact?
I'm off the apps. I'm deleting them. I'm never, ever using a dating app again because I don't trust anybody. You can just be whoever the fuck you want on there. And the last person that I dated was not the person I thought they were. Mind you, we went on about 6 dates before I figured this out. I figured this out when I met his friends. This is key for girls who aren't really sure about someone. He met my friends 2 weekends ago. Went really well. He was all buttoned up, very nice, very respectful. Everybody really liked him. And I was like, oh my God, okay. You know, I was kind of testing the waters there to see how my friends reacted. And I've been just like a little bit unsure about him. So I was like, okay, yeah, maybe I like him more than I thought. Keep it going. Had a couple more dates. Still feeling like I'm not sure. He asked if I want to go meet his friends out for St. Patrick's Day. And I was like, oh, you know, I have plans already. He's like, no, you should just come and just meet them. Like, I really want you to meet them. These are his best friends, mind you. And I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm going to make it work. Like, we're trying to get to a certain level. This has potential for this person being my boyfriend. I'm going to like make the effort, go see his friends, try and make a good impression, see what's up. I get to the bar. Mind you, it's like an early 20s bar, absolutely packed. There's girls like, and guys like at every corner. Barely push past. I text him I'm there. He knows I'm coming. Doesn't answer. I have to go like search for him inside this like bar club. You know, it's some hybrid of that. Can't find him. I find his friend who I met once. He comes up and is like, oh, Colette, like we're over here. And I'm like, oh, cool. So I go, and I got a really good impression from this guy the first time. I go to meet the group over, and I see the guy that I'm dating, who's, mind you, like very shy and reserved with me, but we're like slowly opening up. So I walk up to the group, and he's like in the group, but he looks at me, and he like walks over so that we're in the middle of the circle, and he just like starts putting his tongue down my throat, like full on makeout, which he doesn't even do when it's just the two of us. And I was like, whoa. So I kind of like pulled back and was like, hi, like, it's good to see you. And he's, I mean, I'm thinking like, okay, he must be really drunk. Like, what the fuck? Gets way worse. Starts introducing me to his friends. Okay, great. Like meeting all his friends. And then he's like on his phone trying to coordinate and get guys there, I guess. Oh, fuck, I need a part two. It's worth it. Trust me.
I had an absolutely horrible experience dating a celebrity. I'm sure a lot of you are going to be able to guess who it is once I tell you more about him. This story starts when I was living in Los Angeles. I was 26 years old. I had moved out there to become an actress. Unfortunately, that didn't work out. And just like many girls who go to Los Angeles with hopes and dreams, I ended up becoming an exotic dancer. Obviously, I kept this a big secret, especially when I was dating, and I was on Tinder at the time, which is where I matched with this celebrity. At the time, this guy was really big. Like, he had a hit show on HBO. Not only did he have a hit show on HBO, but he played a character on that show that I was absolutely obsessed with. Guys, little clue, the show is about baseball. I'm sure so many of you are going to get it from that hint. So anyway, this guy's like not conventionally attractive, but he has dad bod and he looks old and mature and kind of goofy, which is totally my type. So we plan to go out on a date, and the date is going to be actually at a comedy club where he is performing. Was that really a date? I don't know. Anyway, I decide that I'm going to bring one of my friends who's like a little bit of a train wreck. I went up to Hollywood to go to this comedy club. We watch his show. It's very funny. We almost get thrown out because we're obnoxiously loud, and my friend had puffed the magic dragon prior to going to the show. Then afterwards, he meets up with us and says, do you want to go to the bar down the street and have a couple of drinks? Eventually, my friend leaves because she realizes she's a third wheel, which leaves me all alone with this HBO star that I'm super obsessed with. I ended up getting really, really tipsy, and I actually, at the end of the night, invited myself over to his house, which is where I stayed till 4 o'clock in the morning talking to him about my ex-boyfriend who ghosted me because he had a brain tumor, but it turns out he was actually married with 2 kids. The way the date ended, and I had never expected to see him again because I had acted a little bit crazy and foolish. Months go by, I don't hear from him. I'm kind of disappointed because I was such a fan, and I thought that the date went pretty well. Like, he was a little standoffish, awkward, and weird, but I was down for that. This time, things really slow down at the club, so I decide I'm gonna try to make an account on one of these like sugar daddy dating websites. Literally days after I have my profile go up on this website, I get a text message from none other than this celebrity. He confesses to me that he found my profile on the sugar daddy dating website. He seems so intrigued by the fact that I am on this page, and he's asking me questions like, do you like to use men for money? Do you like to take advantage of unsuspecting men? I can tell he's really into it, and I feel like, okay, well, maybe this is the key to his heart. Like, if I play along with this weird game that he likes, maybe he'll want to go out on another date. Well, I'm feeding into it, and I'm telling him how I just love to take money from men, like it's a hobby of mine. I have all these simps following me around, Venmo and Cash Apping me money. Then things took a really, really weird turn. He asked me to be mean to him and to demand for him to send me money on PayPal. So I was like, okay, like my car payment is due. I like you, but bills gotta be paid. Well, the story, he sends the $300 and this thing continues for about a year. I don't know why, but in my heart of hearts, I thought that this man was my soulmate. We did go on 2 more dates after that. His dates did involve him giving me money in some way, shape, or form, and it did also involve me being mean to him. After this went on for a year, I kind of got fed up because I was like, dude, when are you gonna make me your girlfriend? That's when he tells me that this thing that's going on between me and him is not special, that he's actually doing it with like 3 other girls. One of them is also his assistant that works for him. Like, oh, cool. So you have other girls demanding money from you and being mean to you? I'm not the only one? Basically, after that, I cut all ties and never talked to him again. I do still miss him. I certainly wish I still had somebody paying for my car payment. Anyway, who do you think this celebrity is? Leave your guesses in the comments.
I figured I would tell this dating story while my makeup is still on, but y'all, this is the best one. Well, it's tied. If you're an OG follower from my first original page, then you guys will remember this story because I got on live leaving his house. So this is the guy that took me to California Pizza Kitchen and didn't order anything on the first date, right? I wasn't upset because he knows I love butter cakes or whatever. Also, he was a little musty because he had just come from the gym. I don't understand why he didn't take a shower or change the clothes. Anyway, he had come to my house before, and this was like our second date, so I was like, all right, whatever, it's time to go to his house. So he invited me over to his house one night, and I was doing my blowout, my silk press, and he was rushing me through the silk press, so I was considering not even doing my baby hair. I get there, he don't like the way I parked. I got to repark 3 times, and then finally he goes, let me do it for you. So then we go inside, he's cooking sweet potatoes, by the way. He's like, these are my favorite thing to cook is roasted sweet potatoes. I look at them sweet potatoes, half of them burnt because he didn't chop them up in all sorts of different shapes and sizes. So he didn't learn to cut symmetrically from Gordon Ramsay or his mother, but that's neither here nor there. Also, he had 2 roommates, 2, so that means 3 people in a 2-bedroom house. You 34 years old and you're a structural engineer. Why you got 2 roommates? They had a sheet separating the bedroom. So he have his mattress on the floor with an airplane blanket on a mattress. And then on the other side is his friend's room. Let's go back to the food for a second because he was eating this really large bowl of salad and he had it underneath his arm like a football and was eating it like this. And it was really strong smell of vinaigrette and he kept asking me to kiss him. And I was like, nah, man, I'm not about to kiss you while you're eating the salad. And he was like really forceful about it. And I was like, no, fam. He goes, I want to watch a movie with you. I'm like, okay, but I'm looking around. Ain't no TV. How y'all is 3 people and nobody got a TV? Okay. So he goes, let me go and get my Dell computer. He opened up the Dell computer. This is the part that everybody remembers. He has like a million icons all over his home screen and I'm immediately stressed out. I'm like, bro, just close the Dell. He's opening the internet browser and he's like, I think it's a little too late to ask my brother for his Netflix password. So he looks at me like, bitch, you gonna give me your Netflix password? I'm looking at him like, oh no, you got me fucked up. So he turns on a free Amazon movie, y'all. It was like a Roman movie and I wasn't feeling it. I'm like, can we at least pay for a movie? He paid $3 for the Taraji P. Henson movie where she can hear men's thoughts. So I'm on the mattress with the airplane blanket on the floor on his side of the room watching this Taraji P. Henson movie with the Dell computer and his phone goes off because it's his bedtime, so he kicks me out.
So I met a man in 2020. He was a good man. I love that man. He was totally my type, everything that I was looking for in a partner. So when we met, things were going good. And I'd say we got to about the 3rd date before he ghosted me for like a whole week. He then hits me up and he's like, hey, I am so sorry. I've had a lot going on. I really want you to come over to my house. I want to make this up to you. I want to go out. Just come over. So, of course I go because this is the man of my dreams. And I know he not just going to do me wrong. Life is busy, of course. So I get to his home. This man's entire face is wrapped up. I'm talking about like from here to here. There's tape all around. I'm like, what happened to you? He's like, oh, I had surgery on my sinuses. And, he's like, I'm not feeling well. I'm like, okay, then why the hell you call me over? So anyways, I'm like, okay, like, do you need me to do anything? He's like, well, I need you to open the door. My friend is here. His friend comes in, mind you, y'all, there's nothing wrong with the friend. He's like really nice, really respectful. Like he was over there checking on him because he had just had surgery. We're all 3 there, chitter chattering very awkwardly because his friend's like, I don't know this girl. And I'm like, I don't know him. But anyways, he's like, hey, Stace, would you mind going in the kitchen and fixing us some burgers? And let me tell you something. who don't cook his meat. I was like, burgers. And on top of that, I'm in all white. I ain't come over here to do no damn cooking. So I'm like, no, I can't cook no burger. He was like, well, do you mind boiling me an egg? At this point, I'm like, okay, let me boil this egg so I can go. So I'm like, okay, I'll boil you an egg. So I get on Google and see how long to boil a damn egg for. So I go in the kitchen. This is the most complicated damn stove I've ever operated in my life. And I'm like, I'm having a little trouble. So his friend comes in there and helps me turn on the stove. All while he's sitting over here wrapped up looking at me like. So the eggs have boiled and I give him the eggs. And his friend was like, oh, I'm getting ready to go. And I'm like, hell yeah, I'm going to go with you, homeboy. And he's like, Stacey, would you mind staying? I'm like, okay. Because again, I'm not trying to show out in front of this man company. His friend leaves. He's like, what type of woman don't know how to cook a burger? You've embarrassed me. I was like, hey, homeboy, I didn't know I was coming over here to cook a meal because I could have ordered something. Like, I'm real good at ordering. He was like, I am extremely embarrassed. I'm like, okay, this is getting a little intense. I'm about to go. I'm like, I'm leaving. I don't have time for this. I'm gone. And at this point, he stands up and he's like, no, I demand you to stay. I can tell you never dated an alpha male. You don't know how to treat an alpha male. I was like, all right, okay, cool, bye. I'll own it. Y'all, this man's face is bleeding profusely. There is like blood just running down his face, on his shirt. And I'm like, hey, he's like, shut up. I'm like, all right, you gonna campaign for the Lord to come get you? Who am I to deny you the election? So at this point, he faints and he falls back into like a little chair. Like, I think he was being dramatic, but whatever. So he falls back and I'm like, I'm not going to touch him because, again, I'm in white. And this was a beautiful white dress. And I'm not about to mess up no white dress for somebody who disrespected me. In high intensity situations, I find myself like I have a delayed reaction to everything. So I'm just standing there waiting for him to come to. When this dude comes to, he was like, would you mind running to Chipotle for me? I'm starving. I was like, okay, I'll go to Chipotle for you. He gives me his debit card and I go to my car and I'm like, you know what? I was disrespected. So I put the debit card on top of his mailbox. I backed out of the driveway. I left and I was back over there 2 weeks later. Yep, sure in the hell was. Found out he was polygamous, but that's how that story ends.
Literally one of the most embarrassing things just happened to me, and I have nobody to blame but myself. So I had a date with this man that we planned back on like Monday, right? So for a week now, we said we were gonna meet on Saturday at 1 p.m. Saturday comes, y'all know I'm a late ass bitch. I can't be on time to save my fucking life. I'm running late. I text him like, hey, can we push back to 1:30? 1:30 comes, I'm just getting in my car. I call him like, hey, I'm so sorry I'm running late. I'll be there in 10 minutes. I could hear it in the tone of his voice that he was pissed off. I'm like, I get there, I call him, no answer. I text him like, hey, I'm here. He's like, yeah, I left. You're wasting my time. Enjoy yourself. So I say all that to say, be on time, y'all. Be on time because I have nobody to blame but myself. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm still finna have a time. I'm about to go grab me a little drinky drink at this restaurant and shop maybe a little bit. Like, it is what it is. Like, you win some, you lose some. Nonetheless, if it was me, I would be upset because don't waste my time. So I get it. Anyways, yeah, whatever.
This one on a first date. Honestly, it was terrible. It stunk. Literally. I match with a lady on a dating app and I see this lady looking very cute in her sundress, holding her dog in the photo, and I see her prompt on her profile and it says, tell me about the last show that you watched. And I responded, MasterChef! Exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point. She responded saying, don't judge me, but I've never seen MasterChef before. And now, I thought in my head, ha 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 ha, great joke, lady, you're so funny. Who hasn't seen MasterChef before? Then she says, no, I genuinely have never seen it before. And I'm thinking, haha, is it too late to unmatch now? Well, jokes aside, I said, let's change that. I asked for her number and we started texting. We've been texting for a couple days, back and forth, saying, hey, what are you doing today? How was your day? How was your week? What are you having for dinner? What are you having for lunch? Oh, you're having snack right now? That's crazy. Me too. I cut the small chat and I said, hey, let me take you out for dinner. Let's grab Mexican food. I'll pick you up at 7 o'clock so that we can get to the restaurant by 7:30. She said, perfect. Picked her up. She was looking very lovely, very nice. And we went to the restaurant and I got tacos. She got a burrito and we're just having a great time. When she's a few bites into her burrito, she goes, can I just excuse myself for a second? I'm going to go use the restroom real quick. I'm like, yeah, of course. Do your thing. See you in a bit. No problem. So she comes back from the bathroom and says, what did I miss? And I said, only the whole entire synopsis of MasterChef. You missed it. Sorry. Then she goes, okay, well, I guess we'll have to watch it sometime. And then I asked her, what shows do you watch, lady? And she says, I am more of a bachelorette person. I've been keeping up with the show for a while now, and it's my favorite thing before bed. And I was like, oh, wow, how cool, lady. So I said, how about this? Let's watch an episode of MasterChef, and if you don't like MasterChef, we'll watch an episode of The Bachelorette. Deal? She said, can we have popcorn? I said, yes. Then she said, deal. So I invited her over to my place. I started making the popcorn, and then we sat down in the living room on the couch. She kept making twists and turns in the couch to get comfortable, which is totally fine. But when she moved, she was making a noise that I was unfamiliar with. Like, my couch is fully functional, but she was making some strange noises when she was moving. So I was like, are you good, lady? I was like, yeah, I'm totally good. Just getting comfortable. How long have you had this couch, by the way? It's kind of springy. And I'm like, springy? I've only had it for a couple of years. I don't get why it's springy. And then it all starts to click. Her moving around started to emit an odor. She was farting in my couch and kept moving to disguise the sound of blaming it on my couch on her flatulence. The smell was so foul, that I almost passed out from how bad it was. I was like, lady, you need to control yourself. Do you need to use the bathroom? And I literally asked her and I was like, are you all right? Do you need to use the restroom? Is everything okay? She's like, yeah, I think the Mexican food really did a number on me. Can I use your bathroom really quick? I was like, yeah, go for it. It's all yours. Have fun. I go prep the popcorn. I'm getting ready for our show watching. I'm on the couch. I opened up the Tubi app and she comes out of the bathroom, comes over to me and she says, what's Tubi, bro? Bro? You calling me bro? So I said, what's Tubi, bro? There are over 75 million monthly viewers on Tubi. How do you not know what Tubi is? He goes, I haven't really heard of Tubi, but whatever works. I said, Tubi is more popular than the number of bad dates that happen every month. She goes, are you saying that this is a bad date? Do you think that we're on a bad date right now? Why would you say something like that? I said, well, I just think that there's something in the air. She did not like that. She was like, that is so rude. You were so disrespectful. I'm going to go home. I'm calling an Uber. I said, lady, I just wanted to be transparent and honest with you. There is nothing wrong with farting, but I would like a notice at least, please. So I just wanted to be transparent. The least I could do is offer you a ride home and take you home safely. She said, fine. The entire car ride was dead silent. Dead silent. So now that I'm back home, I probably won't be seeing or hearing from her again, but boy, did she blow me away. Bye-bye, tata.
I was rejected by a guy in the most embarrassing and humiliating way possible, but still a part of me feels like this was my fault, so I need you guys to let me know what you think. One day, I matched with this guy on Bumble who was very, very handsome. He was a documentary filmmaker, curly brown hair, profile said 6'2". At the time, I was going through an identity crisis, so I just so happened to dye my hair back to brunette, although previous to that, I was blonde. I was on this dating app, and unfortunately, I hadn't updated any of my photos to reflect the way that I looked, although the photos that I did have were just like taken 2-3 months ago. It's not like my physical appearance looked that different, it's just that my hair color was very different. So me and this guy are literally talking for 2 days, we're hitting it off, the conversation is flowing back and forth, and most of the time, guys will just waste your time and not ask you out on a date, or if they ask you out on a date, they'll ask you to like go for a walk in the park. Days after us matching, we are on a date, I meet him for the first time, he's exiting his car, and he's walking towards me, and as he's walking towards me, I could tell he has like a confused look on his face. And I've been on many dates. I've never been accused of being a catfish. I've never had somebody disappointed when they saw me in real life. In fact, I've had guys tell me that they are surprised and that I actually look better in person, that I look better than in my photos. He gives me a hug, we walk to the restaurant, we sit down, we're ordering drinks, and he's just asking him random questions, trying to make small talk, and he is just being very, very odd and standoffish. And at one point during the date, he looks at me and he says, "You look a little different than on your photos." I was like, yeah, I actually dyed my hair. I went darker. I've been a brunette in the past. Like, this is actually close to my natural hair color. And I was just tired of the blonde because it was ruining my hair. And then he tells me that he thinks that that is actually misleading and that I should have updated my dating profile photos to match how my hair looks now. So then I ask him, well, would that have changed your opinion of me? Would that have made you not want to go out on a date? And he kind of laughs and shrugs it off and says, well, you know, I do like blondes. And that just like rubbed me the wrong way. Anyway, we end up splitting some appetizers on a couple of drinks, and I end up leaving and thinking to myself, like, this is probably not going to go anywhere because that guy was super, super weird. I have no plans on texting this guy, but then I get a text from him the next evening. He sends me a whole paragraph that I never even asked for. In his paragraph, he tells me that he thinks that it's not right, that I misrepresented myself on my dating profile, and that if he's being completely 100% transparent, he is into blondes, that is his specific type, and he does not prefer brunettes. I never replied to him. I ended up blocking his number, but guys, there was a part of me that almost got my butt into my car and went to Sally Beauty Supply to get some bleach because I was so insecure at that point. Now that I look back on it though, did I make a mistake? Did I misrepresent myself? Did I catfish this guy? I don't know. Let me know what you guys think in the comments.
Story time. I went on a date with a very famous actor and it ended up being horrible. So we went out to eat at this really nice place in Miami, one of my faves. Everyone knows him. And I'm like, Lord have mercy. There's gonna be no type of discretion. It was like the entire time people were in our face, looking, turning, watching, and I was like, oh, I don't know how I feel about this. Anyway, we sit down, we have our table, we order food, and I don't even know how the conversation ended up here, but he starts talking about how he hates when girls wear Fashion Nova. Meanwhile, I'm wearing Fashion Nova. And I'm like, yo. So I'm too embarrassed at this point to even say anything. At the time, I work with Fashion Nova, like as an influencer. This is back before Instagram deleted my page, but whatever. I'm feeling really cute in my outfit, but I'm like, damn, sir. So we keep talking, we keep eating. The food was so damn good. I'm trying not to eat everything because I can eat a lot and I definitely am a plate clearer, but my outfit was really tight and like a light color, kind of like a stretchy material where I was like, yo, if we do anything after this, I'm gonna look pregnant if I keep eating. So I slow down. So we start talking about family and his family dynamics and my family dynamics, and don't know again how this comes up, but I'm talking about my father and how we don't have a relationship, blah, blah, blah. How about this man starts telling me that I need to find a way for my father and I to be cool again. Sir, do you know this man? Do you know any of the reasons why we are not cool? Do you understand that there could be so many reasons, like he graped me, dropped the G, that we're not cool? Which he didn't, but either way, there can be a multitude of reasons that I'm not with him. And he was just like, oh, you know, a lot of times people's moms don't tell you the whole story of what goes on with your dad, and then before you know it, you have animosity for him and it's not even real. And I'm like, it's crazy to me that men will literally defend other men that they do not know whatsoever off of the strength of what's happened in their current life. So I'm just drinking more. I'm like, Lord have mercy, what is this date? And he is a little older than me, so he has that, like, I know what I'm talking about, like, slightly condescending manner that I can't stand. So I'm hitting him with a shake your head, Jess, shake your head. Because if I say how I really feel, I'm gonna flip this table and dip. So I'm just like, stay pleasant, just get through this evening. And then it gets worse. I don't know how we end up here, but we start talking about Rihanna. This man starts telling me how much he loves Rihanna, how much he wishes he could date Rihanna, how much he would just do anything for her, how he's like a super fan and all this shit. And I'm like, bruh, who doesn't want to date Rihanna? She's a baddie, she's beautiful, she's from the islands. You done know how the thing go. But can we not do that right now? Bruh. When I tell you this man, it went into strict and very definitive detail about Rihanna's appearance, about how classy she is, about how he felt like he would just suck her toes and just, it was insane. I knew I would never see him again after the date. I was like, yeah, this is dead. Like, we're never doing this shit again. I said to myself, it's so funny that a lot of women will think that dating men with status and dating these famous men is just gonna make life easier, when they don't realize that a lot of the times, not saying always, but a lot of the times when men have clout or they have money or they have some kind of status, they have their own crap going on in the background that you're probably going to find out about, and they just make it really hard to deal with. And they're not willing to see their own crap because in their mind they're perfect and they're a catch and you should be lucky to be here. But yeah, I never saw bro again. Negative 10 out of 10, would not recommend.
One of the worst dates that I've been on yesterday. So I and this person were talking for a while, and he's like, I want to take you on a date, let's go to dinner. Very proactive. He picked a place, picked a time. He was like, I'm going to come pick you up. While we're at the restaurant, I decided to play this game. There's this game that I play on first and second dates that tells me everything that I need to know about someone. It tells me if I should. One of the first questions he asked me was, how many dates have you been on this year? And I told him I've been on 3 dates, blah, 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 blah. Just give context, you know? So I asked him about his childhood. I asked him about his upbringing. I found it very fascinating, just asking more questions like that. The next question he asked me was, have you ever had sex with someone on the first date? And I said, no, I've never done that. Why are you asking me that? And he's like, no reason. I was like, don't you want to get to know other things about me? Aren't there other things that you want to know? You can ask anything. And then he says, what's your dream job? If you weren't in this line of career, what would you be doing? And I was like, oh, okay, this is a very tricky one because there's something I've always wanted to do. I tend not to share it with people. It's something I hold very close to me. I don't know, can you ask me something else? And then he says, is it OnlyFans? Excuse me, are you stupid? I said, what do you mean by that? So I go ahead and just tell him what it is. So he says, oh no, because you are ashamed. I said, who said I was ashamed? I said it's something that I hold close to me and I don't tell people so that they don't shoot it down. Does that sound like OnlyFans? Are you mad? So he says, oh no. That he was just wondering. But at this point, I could already tell the kind of person I was dealing with. The pattern of questioning already told me what I was dealing with here. So I asked him some more questions and then he says, what's your body count? I was like, I don't remember the last time anybody asked me that. It's just something that doesn't come up in conversation. So I went ahead and I told him, and he says, oh, okay, I just want to be sure that you don't sleep around. I was triggered. I said, why? He said, because no man wants a woman that sleeps around. I said, hey. Let me stop you there. The thing is, I personally don't advocate for having a lot of sexual partners. I don't think it does anyone good, male or female. I've never met somebody that is well adjusted and has a lot of sexual partners. That's my opinion anyways. I said, it's okay for that to be a boundary for you. That's perfectly fine. But I don't think you have the right to speak for all people. What you find that is unbearable for you, someone else can bear it. I said, it's not like people don't have these thoughts. They do. But people just do a better job at evaluating people than asking stupid questions like this. Then the next question he asks me is, how old is the oldest man that you've gone out on a date with? And I said 55. He pushed his chair back and he was like, what? But do you know how that makes you look? I said, how does that make me look? Tell me. He said, do you know what people would say if they hear that? I was like, trust me, lots of the people on the internet have heard. People knew when I was going out on that date. Because I went on a date because I found it fascinating. And lots of people found it fascinating as well. I was like, it's not you that'll tell me who I am. It's not people that'll tell me who I am. I know what I was doing there. I know myself. I know myself very well. Nobody said anything about it. Everybody thought it was fascinating. I don't know why you're tripping. He's like, so you mean you'd have fucked him? I'm quoting. I was too stunned to speak. Then the next words that came out of my mouth is there something wrong with you? And he was like, oh, I'm so sorry. I said, no, I actually need you to answer the question I just asked you. Are you sick in the head and is there something wrong with you? Do not speak to me like that again. He's like, oh, I'm so sorry. I just got nervous. I think this game is making me... I was like, no, it's not about the game. I don't force you to say any of the things like you said. He was like, oh, I'm sorry. While he was talking, I just put my head in my hand like this. You know what you're thinking? I was thinking about whether I should stand up and leave immediately, but I kind of felt sorry and I felt embarrassed for him. So I told him to bring the car around and I was ready to go home. He brought the car around and I got in the car. He says, oh, do you want to come to mine so that we can just chill? While he was talking, I said, please take me home. So now I'm looking at it like, you spent all this time judging women and calling them hoes, yet you want to make me the hoe that you speak of. If I came into this date and I told you that, oh, normally on the first date, I go home and I have sex with people, you'd have judged me, but yet you're trying to do the exact same thing with me. So he took me home, and when I got home, I was like, thank you for this date, blah, blah, blah. I knew I was not going to see him again, and I felt very bad for him. I was like, thank you for this date. It's been great. I'm ready to go home. He was like, oh, are you going to give me a hug? I said, no. Do you know this man tried to kiss me? And while I was like pulling back like this, he reached for my butt and he squeezed it like fufu. I'm wondering why I didn't slap him now. Those men that always scream about how women are hoes and this, like, and that, they're the ones that always do stuff like this. So when he did it, I was like, why did you do that? He said he thought we were having a moment. I just went to my house and locked my door. Feel free to share your terrible date stories in the comments. At the end of my videos, I always like to have something useful to say, but there's actually nothing. I guess watch out for flags. I don't know. I went on a date with a stupid man. That's it.
By far the worst date of my life. I ate nothing on that date. I was too shocked to eat anything. If you don't know this, I went on a date with the motorcycle guy, the guy that I've been obsessing with for the past like 2 months. It couldn't have gone any worse. And I was like, so when was your last relationship? He has the audacity to say, oh, right now. Right now? Right now means you have a girlfriend? Then apparently he wanted to make it better and he says, well, it's nothing serious. She knows that if I find a better girl, I'm gonna break up with her. Please tell me I'm in Delulu land right now. He's like, why are you not eating? Why are you eating? This was my favorite part. It was Harry on top. I was like, so what if in 2 months you find a better girl than me? Are you gonna ditch me and go to her? He stayed silent. Oh my god. Oh. He just texted me. He just texted me that was the best date ever. When's our second one tomorrow? I'm lagging a little. By far the worst date of my life. I ate nothing on that date. I was too shocked to eat anything. If you don't know this, I went on a date with the motorcycle guy, the guy that I've been obsessing with for the past like 2 months. It couldn't have gone any worse. And I was like, so when was your last relationship? He has the audacity to say, oh, right now. Right now? Right now means you have a girlfriend? Then apparently he wanted to make it better and he says, well, it's nothing serious. She knows that if I find a better girl, I'm gonna break up with her. Please tell me I'm in Delulu land right now. He's like, why are you not eating? Why are you eating? This was my favorite part. It was Harry on top. I was like, so what if in 2 months you find a better girl than me? Are you gonna ditch me and go to her? He stayed silent. Oh my god. Oh. He just texted me. He just texted me that was the best date ever. When's our second one tomorrow? I'm lagging a little.
I
Dating
just walked
in
out on my
Dubai
date,
Horror
and
Story
I'm gonna tell
Part
you guys
1.
the tea before leaving. Okay, this guy asked me to send him my location before leaving. Live location I did. I thought he was gonna track it, so like when I arrive, he's gonna be by the door waiting for me, you know, to receive me and all of that, since he didn't have to pick me up or send a taxi. I arrive and I had to text him like, where are you? How do I find you? Then he sent me a picture 5 minutes later of where he's seated so I could find him. I see this guy wearing shorts, just a normal collared shirt and slippers. One thing I do not tolerate on first dates is convenience, like the zero effort. And the mistake I made is I didn't ask this guy, how long have you been in Dubai for? I know it's a question I don't like people asking me, but at this point I had to ask. And he's like, oh, I've been here for over 15 years. And in my head, I'm like, this is not gonna work. It is not gonna work. Straight into the conversation, he's telling me about his 3 kids. He's showing me pictures. Now, time to eat. He's like, oh, we're not gonna eat today. We're just doing drinks because we're getting to know each other, you know? So what beer do you want? And I'm like, no, I don't drink beer. I'm even actually on an alcohol break, so I'll go for like a mojito. And he goes, okay. So he orders his beer and I order my mocktail, and we're having conversations. He was trying to touch me and I'm like, I don't allow this on the first date, so please keep your hands to yourself. Thank you very much. The fact that I had to even tell him, it was already off. The conversation was so dead. We were done with the first drinks. We're gonna order the second drink. The waitress comes, she recommends something for me. I go for like a Red Bull and some mixture, and he goes for his second glass of beer. And the waitress was like, would you guys like to have like a starter or bites with whatever drink you're having? And he takes the menu from her, he closed it, and he tossed it to the other part of the table. He's like, no, we're just doing drinks, please take it away from here. That was so rude. And the fact that he did not even ask me. Like, usually you should turn around and ask your guest, do you want something? He didn't ask me. He just said, no, we're not drinking, we're not doing anything. He closes the menu and tosses it over. At that point in my head, I'm like, no, this date is, I'm never seeing this guy again. The next thing he does, his friend calls him. He picks up the phone and he was giving the guy the direction to come with us. And I was like, are you expecting someone? And he's like, oh yeah, you know, his friend. But it's over. Then you're driving me home. But it's over. Then you're driving me home.
Tinder date from literal hell story time. He literally sent me abusive messages calling me crazy, saying that I used him and that I was basically nuts for no reason. So I'm 18 on Tinder, matched with a guy, we're getting along pretty well, he lives really close, so I'm like, why not, let's catch up. First date was like average, nothing that weird, although he kept winking at me, being like, haha, and I'd be like, what? And he did it like 5 times and I was like, hey, can you stop winking at me? I don't know why, like it just makes me feel uncomfortable. And then he's like, yeah, sure. I'm like, all right, whatever. Also, important part of the story, he told me that he was a virgin on our first date. And I said I didn't care, obviously, because why would I care? Anyway, second date, this is where it gets bad. We go bowling. A girl that I know, we're not really friends, we're more like mutual friends. She sees me at bowling and she's like, oh my God, hey, like I'm here with my boyfriend, I'll introduce you to him. She brings over her boyfriend and I'm like, hey, nice to meet you, whatever. So the guy that I'm going on a date with, let's call him Bob. So Bob and I are walking out of bowling and he's not speaking to me. And I'm like, Bob, what's wrong? And he's like, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Kept saying, don't worry about it. And I was like, just tell me. And he was like, well, you could have like introduced me. I've known you for 2 days. I'm not introducing you to my friends or someone that is not even my friend. Honestly, if he said it in a nicer way, I would have just said sorry, but... Anyway, so we're driving home and he's like, Annalise, I have to tell you something. I've lied to you. And I'm like, what have you already lied to me about? I've known you for 2 days. So he pulls over the car dramatically and he's like, obviously I'm not a virgin. And I was like, what? He's like, yeah, I'm so embarrassed. Like I went clubbing and I lost my virginity to this like 30-year-old. I'm so embarrassed, so embarrassed. So I was like, okay, that's kind of odd that you lied about that. But anyway, so he's driving me home and he sees a group of people he used to be friends with. So he's like, oh my God, I can't believe they didn't invite me. So he parks in front of them and is just spying on them, staring at them whilst I'm in the car. So I'm just sitting in the car like, what is happening right now? Whilst we're in the car, I just wanted to make it very clear with him, like, hey, just letting you know, I'm not interested. I just got out of a relationship. I just got cheated on, you know, just not looking for anything at the moment. So I thought it was very clear that I didn't want to speak to him again. Anyway, drives me home and he's like, I need to ask you something. And I'm like, what do you need to ask me? He's like, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I'm like, just tell me. Like, just tell me. I hate beating around the bush. And he was like, when would you be ready to like do stuff with me? what? So I was like, I don't know, like maybe tomorrow, maybe never. I meant never. I get home, I'm barely messaging him because I'm weirded out, confused. He's just kind of rude and odd. I'm still replying here and there just to be nice. Eventually he sends me a paragraph like this bloody big saying that every time he goes on dates with girls, he gets used, that he's such a nice guy, he doesn't know why this happens to him, that I've used him for nights out. Also, I'm pretty sure I paid for the second date, so it was like 50-50 paying for dates. So I didn't use him for anything. And he said that I used him for nights out. And I was like, why would I use you for nights out when I can have nights out with my friends? And then he was like, why would you even go on a date with me if you don't want a relationship? And I was like, look, I didn't know what I was looking for. I just wanted to go on a date, meet a new person. It made me realize, you know, like I'm still in love with my ex, okay? I'm still in love with him. We'd only been broken up for like 3 months, so like kind of valid. And then he was like, you're crazy, like I can't believe you've said that, like what you're saying is nuts. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, I just said in the nicest way possible, hey, I'm not interested, best of luck, I still have feelings for my ex, sorry. He proceeds for the next, this was in 2019. He proceeds for the next 3 years to message me. Like every 6 months, yeah, he would message me like, hey, how are you? Or like message me on Instagram and be like, oh my god, hi. And then he would delete the message when I wouldn't reply. Like, sir, it makes sense why this happens to you when you lie about random stuff on first dates. Say that I'm using you for dates when I paid for half the dates. Like, what? If you want more story times and you got through this whole video, feel free to follow me. I have plenty of juicy story times. Also, if my mum is watching this, I'm so sorry. This happened like 5 years ago. And I didn't tell you that I was going on this date because I knew you wouldn't let me go. Love you, Mum.
This man almost unalived me on our date. Take a seat, because this is a wild ride. The first red flag, I don't like when men pick me up on the first date because 1, I don't want you to know where I live, and 2, I want to be able to leave when I want. I don't want to feel trapped. I met him at an event, we exchanged numbers, and then he asked me on a date. So it starts out great. He makes dinner reservations and he's like, I'll pick you up. And I'm like, no, it's okay, I can Uber, I can drive. And he's like, no, I'll pick you up. I'm like, okay. The nicest Mercedes I've ever seen. Like, I've never seen a Mercedes like that. It's like one of those cars that they only make 5 of, and if you're one of the 5, you're also a convertible, and it feels like 30 degrees outside, so I'm not sure why we need the convertible part out right now, but like, it's fine, show off. He also brings me a big bouquet of red roses, and I'm like, oh my god, okay, such a gentleman, we're off to a great start. Little did I know that I would eminently despise this car and everything about it. I go to dinner, and actually, everything about the date is great. It's after the date where it just gets progressively downhill from there. We're walking back to his car and he's like, do you want to drive down Rodeo? How far do you think it is? And I'm like, it's past my. I actually say yes, but I also never actually say no. And so we get in the car and he starts driving. He starts driving in the opposite direction of both my apartment and Rodeo Drive. And I'm like, oh, actually it's that way. And he's like, oh, I know, I want to go this way. Exact reason why I do not like men driving me on the first date. So he's driving and he proceeds to put his address into the GPS. And I'm like, am I being kidnapped right now? Like, so he's like, do you want to go to my place and watch a movie? Like, oh, actually I have to be up really early in the morning. And he's like, oh, it's okay, I'll have you back by midnight. Okay, not like I have a choice right now. I'm not gonna jump out of a moving car. We're already headed there, so whatever. This man is driving like the cops are after him. He zooming, the light is red before we get into the intersection, and he's like, yeah, I just don't like waiting. And I'm like, I love waiting. I love waiting at red lights. It's fun. Anyway, somehow we make it to his house in one piece. It's this great big mansion in the hills. Yeah, whatever, very impressive. He's showing me around and we get to the theater and I'm like, oh, we're here to watch a movie. So I sit down. I don't need to see the rest of the house. I don't need to see any bedrooms or anything. I found the theater. That's what we're here. I do not take off my jacket. I'm wearing this big leather coat and I'm sitting like this the whole time. Legs crossed, shoes on. So we start watching the movie and I'm cold and uncomfortable, so I'm like, all right, let me grab a blanket and recline because I'm gonna be here a while. Might as well be. So he goes to make popcorn and I grab a blanket and I get comfortable and I make sure I'm laying down so where there's no room for him to come snuggle up next to me. Anyway, he comes back and he's like, ooh, that looks comfortable. And hops right there beside me. I'm like, I know you're not comfortable. He does. Anyway, once he moves, we start having conversation, we're talking during the movie, and he says the most racist thing to me, and he doesn't even realize. What do you mix with? And I'm like, well, both my parents are black. And he's like, what? I can't believe you're full black. Like, you're so lucky you don't have those features. I'm sick at this point. And mind you, I do have black features and I am black and we are beautiful. So you like asshole.
A couple months ago, I went on a date with this guy. Worst date I've ever been on. Let me tell you about it. To preface, him and I met like in the IRL and he like asked me for my number. At like 5 o'clock that same day, I get a FaceTime from a random number. It's him. I never saved his number. And he's like, hey, do you want to go get drinks in like 20 minutes? Like, yeah, bet, spontaneous. Like, let's do it. 20 minutes later, we meet up and we're like walking to this restaurant. I knew within the first 10 minutes that this was a one date type of thing. So we walked to the first restaurant. Do you want anything to eat? And I was like, oh no, I just had dinner. Like, I'm good. He orders an appetizer and it comes and he goes, oh no. And he like gets the waiter's like, waiter. He goes, I have a peanut allergy. Do these have nuts in it? I know the man cannot control his peanut allergy, but I was already icked and the icks just kept getting worse. He is like throwing them back the whole time. And I'm just sitting there sipping out of a little straw, like, chill. This man is yapping. Personally, I'm a yapper. He is out talking me. I'm talking about like my dreams, my accomplishments, like things that I want to do in my future. He's pretty much telling me that like that's all wrong and that I need to do something else. Like, what? This is a first date, not a life advice session. He just keeps going on and on about how I'm making all these like wrong decisions. And this whole time he keeps on slipping in how like rich he is and how much money he has. Like, that's so like, I don't care. Like, I don't care. So then we get up and we go to the next restaurant. Oh my God. This is where it starts to go downhill rapidly. He starts talking about his girl best friend. I don't care about that stuff. Like, whatever, have as many girlfriends as you want, like, whatever. But the way he's talking about her is like, he's obviously in love with her and like she won't give him the time of day. Like, he's kind of obsessed with her, it sounds like. I'm pretty sure he like called her in the middle of the dinner too. And then the man did the worst thing that you could ever do on a first date. He brought up his ex-girlfriend, or ex-girlfriends, I should say. He brought up all of his exes and why all of them broke up and didn't work out. He even talked about how one of them, he like really felt like he like sold the bag on her. We were on a first date. That's like first date 101, what not to talk about. At this point, I'm literally just like, what is going on? Like, I'm just smiling and nodding because I'm like, this cannot get any worse. So then we get up to leave to go to this like rooftop and I stand up and he like kisses me. I was so not ready for that. And to be honest, I was so not planning to like kiss him. I know he saw the shock in my face because after I'm like, we're also in public. I am not a PDA girl. We're walking along this pathway to this rooftop that we're headed to. He's like, I really have to pee. I'm like, okay, whatever. So he like goes just like to pee like off the trail. Weird, but whatever, I don't care. Boys will be boys. So he's peeing and I have my back turned to him, like looking in the distance. This man says to me, oh, you don't have to turn around. What? Who says that? Who says that? I'm sorry, I do not need to see the pee trickling out. No thanks. I just like laughed because I was like, what am I supposed to respond to that? We get to this rooftop. Not his fault, but we did have to take stairs like all the way up 9 floors. I was huffing and puffing. At this point though, I don't even care like what he thinks of me because I'm in my head, I'm like, this is over. So then he starts trauma dumping to me on the roof, on the verge of tears. I'm sitting there and I'm like, and then he looks in my eyes and he goes, I know I really like you because I don't even want to hook up with you right now. What? I'm like, what the fuck? He's saying these things to me and I'm like, what am I even supposed to respond with? Oh my God. But then he's like a gentleman and he orders me an Uber home. In the Uber, I'm like, thank God this is over. Oh, but it wasn't. Should I do a little part 2?
Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.